Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our next installment of 20 Minutes for Israel from Israel. We are honored to be joined by Yaakov Kessler. For those locally, that's two S's, not one. We have a Kessler community who spells it with one S and has spent the better part of 15 years trying to convince everyone that's the right spelling. Yaakov is the events manager for the event sales manager for the Ramada Hotel, which is one of the major hotels in Jerusalem. For those who are familiar, it's sort of the entrance of the city area. One of the things I learned on my mission was that the Ramada does a bulk of its business with the events that they do. And so it's a major part of their operations. One of the things that we learned while I was on my mission was that the Ramada is doing incredible work, welcoming scores of families from the north and from the south in. And so I asked Yaakov to join us to tell us a little bit about what's going on with him, but also what's going on with the holy work that they're doing there. Yaakov, I'm ask you to unmute again. You can just keep it unmuted the whole time. And welcome. Do you tell us a little about yourself?
First of all, the honor is mine to be with you. And considering that Rabbi Brander, I know you from your teenage years, so this is also an honor to see you in action in your rabbinate. My background is that my family and I, we made Aliyah in 1995. I've been in business and in Klei Kodesh and youth work for the majority of my life simultaneously. And my job at the Ramada, which started around 6 years ago, taking over the events department, is a culmination of my business and we'll call it the Klei Kodesh career of being able to combine the beauty of being able to engage in smachot, in happy celebrations, with basically business and pleasure together. So that's my general gestalt for what I'm supposed to be doing in the hotel. Unfortunately / fortunately, as a result of the heinous terror that was committed on October 7th, and all the communities that were evacuated, they needed to be evacuated someplace, and so the hotels were the obviously natural choice to take the evacuees in. And our hotel is blessed with wonderful owners who recognize that it is their Zionist obligation to do the maximum for the evacuees. And so our hotel was basically 100% occupied, 1,600 evacuees from Sderot, from Shlomi in the north, now Kiryat Shmona. In the past, we had Ofakim. We have 790 children amongst the 1,600 people that are in the hotel. And with all the various complexities of creating a community in a city in the course of the day inside the hotel. So that's what we're doing.
Well, it's an honor to welcome you to our virtual Young Israel, both the people who are listening to you live and the many who listen to this after it's recorded. Tell us a little bit. Obviously, everyone has a lot to talk about October 7th and those moments, but tell us from the hotel's perspective. You mentioned the owners saw this as their mission. How did this come about? How did what was the conversation internally in making this happen?
Well, what happened was that immediately following the terror attacks and and what was happening, they knew that people were leaving the communities. They had to go someplace. All the people from the south needed to go someplace. People from kibbutzim get taken in by other kibbutzim, but regular cities needed places to put people. So there were volunteer organizations that partnered with travel agencies. And for the first week of the war, there was shuttling between the hotels until the Israel Hotels Association, together with the Ministry of Tourism, came up with a plan to house communities and various cities or communities, villages in different hotels. Some places are so large that they had to be split up amongst various hotels, and there had to be some guidelines to be able to accommodate people. And of course, since everything boils around money, there had to be a determination as to how much the hotels would be paid for the honor of hosting the evacuees. And obviously, since no one knows, it was sort of open-ended as to how long the people would be there. So the Ministry of Tourism said, we're going to pay a certain amount of money, which was below the level that the majority of hotels could withstand, because we were offering we had to offer 3 meals a day, hot meals a day, and accommodate the families. Many hotels sort of balked at the idea, but then agreed to take in a limited amount of people, 30 rooms, 40 rooms in hotels that had 200 rooms. Our general manager, Mr. David Tucker, is the chairman of the Jerusalem Hotels Association, and our owners and founders are ardent Zionists. They themselves were Nitzolei Shoah, Holocaust survivors, and together they made a determination that they needed to do more than just the regular. They needed to lead by example, and so the general manager said, let's take in every possible evacuee for the amount of rooms that we have to our maximum capability. It will both help them, and it will also help the hotel to maintain its equilibrium during a time where there won't be any tourism. And so we did that. Little did anybody take into account all the various things that need to be done in order to accommodate families. They're not just moving into a hotel and saying, okay, they're on vacation. They came to live. And with all the things that go along with that, whether it's nursery schools and kindergartens and daycare. I'll even give you one example, which is sort of uncomfortable to discuss, but since they decided that the hotels have to take everyone in at a much lower price than normal, certain standards had to be adjusted downward. And one of the standards that they decided was that the hotels don't have to change the sheets more than once a week. That is a lovely concept, and health-wise it wasn't a problem, except that many of the children from Sderot were traumatized, and they were wetting their beds at night. We couldn't very well stand in front of the guests and tell them, well, the Ministry of Tourism says we can only change the sheets once a week. That doesn't work. So from that grew the concept that we have to rebuild a city and all the various things that go along with it, whether it's creating a laundromat without pay. And there were many donors who stepped forward and fronted the money for us to be able to purchase and install washing machines, dryers, irons, ironing boards in areas in the hotel that these things didn't exist, and turned our banqueting facilities into nursery schools and daycare centers and even classrooms for the first week for the elementary school students until they were able to find a proper location for Beit Sefer Yisodi elementary school students and high school students. We are situated very close to Hebrew University, so I mentioned to the Ministry of Education people that came to me, I said, you know, there's 250 meters away from us, there's a small patch of green grass and a bunch of buildings that are empty. So maybe you should house the students there, and that's what they did. Local elementary school, girls' school in Kiryat Moshe took in the girls, and they've partnered them with families and young ladies in the community. So now we're seeing people from Kiryat Moshe coming to the hotel to have play dates with the kids who are in the hotel. It's a lovely atmosphere. We had to accommodate the various health organizations, the Kupot Cholim, Muchedet, Klalit, Maccabi, and Leumit. They were all competing to be able to provide services. I told them You get one hall. You have to work together. And for the first time in the history of the Kupot Cholim product in Israel, all four of them are working together in our hotel. We have every Wednesday and Friday, we have sonograms, ultrasounds for the women who are Baruch Hashem expecting, and which is very exciting. And just recently, my crazy idea was to enclose our outdoor tennis court with a tent, a professional tent, and heat it, completely winterize it, and to fill it with ping pong tables, pool tables, table football, and all the foosball, all that kind of stuff, so that the kids can have a place to go, the adults can have a place to go. Our shul / Beit Midrash is used every day, almost like a kollel, for the guys who are not working right now. So they're dedicating their days to studying Torah. And fascinating that out of the 140 some odd families just from Sderot, more than half of them, the husbands are serving in the Israeli armed forces right now. So the people are really depending on each other. The wives are depending on each other. And we're involved on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it's unbelievable what you're describing. It's like running a city in a hotel, and nothing short of that. What's the mood? What's the feeling? What are you getting a sense both from your own perspective and what you're hearing from the families in the hotel?
As with all things in Jewish history, okay, it's always a mixed bag. Okay, there's the perennial optimism of being part of Am Yisrael. Okay, we always look at the positive. We're always supposed to look at the positives. And my father, Zichrono Livracha, who passed away in August, was always the first person to say it's all good. Okay, in fact, we just put on his kever the quote from Rav Eliezer Papo, who was known as the Pele Yoetz, where he wrote that it is incumbent upon us to understand that it is a principle that nothing bad comes from heaven. Hakol tova, everything is good. So on the one hand, we do look at things like that, and on the other hand, we have to be pragmatic and look at the fact that progress is slow in this painful war. There are pressures that are coming from all sorts of different outsiders, including the administration of the United States, who say one thing one day and say another thing another day, which kind of gets the people upset. They would like to return home. At the same time, they see many chayalim being killed, and that's sort of that's upsetting. And as well, we have all the continued issue of those who were kidnapped, and trying to get them back, but trying to be pragmatic and saying, okay, but there's also 8 million other people that the government of Israel and the chayalim have to protect. So we're a torn nation, but we're together in our mission that we will come out of this as a better place and better people. And Am Yisrael Chai. I can tell you that there was even talk of trying to get the Sderot people from the south to go back home at the end of this month. And a number of Chavrei Knesset, members of parliament, came to visit us and to inform us that they're going to push the people to go back. And I said to them, I don't understand how you can make the people go back to Sderot right now. So they said, well, there's no problem anymore with terrorists coming in because Sahal is in charge of northern Gaza, so it's not that big of a problem. So I said to them, let me give you an example. In my house, I had an infestation of cockroaches, and I called the exterminator to come, and he came and he discovered there were also mice and rats. And so he took care of the mice and the rats, and then he said to me, now you can go back and live in your house. And I said to him, but what about the cockroaches? And he says, they were there before. You can go back to that. I said, is that what you want the people from Sderot who suffered 15 years with rocket fire, and then on one day they had terrorists coming in? So they said, no, we really don't. Okay, we'll extend their stay in the hotel for another 45 days. So these are things that we have to do. We have to advocate for each other. I can tell you that there are concerts, and there's activities for kids and for teenagers, and people are generally upbeat, despite the fact that they're living in 2 small hotel rooms. They know that they're together as a community, and Am Yisrael Chai. I'll add one thing. My mom just arrived from. She lives in Boynton Beach, Florida, and she just arrived because Baruch Hashem, my grandson is having his bar mitzvah this week. So her great grandson's bar mitzvah this weekend, and she's staying in the Ramada, and she's staying in the Ramada Hotel, and she wrote a letter to all the people in her community in Boynton Beach and Palm Chase Lakes, and she said, "I'm at the Ramada Hotel. It's a picture of Am Yisrael's resiliency. You have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people here at breakfast. Breakfast is delicious. Hundreds of babies and children running around. Fathers and mothers making sandwiches for the children on rye bread and chocolate spread, packing them into sandwich baggies." She said, "There are all sorts of activities here. And then you go out in the street and you see the restaurants are working, and the buses are running, and people are going to work, and people are helping each other, and everything is moving forward because we live in this world. This is what Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael is all about."
Your words are inspiring and humbling at the same time. Tell us, we're coming up at the end of our time, from your perspective, and not just in the realm of the hotel, but in general, as you talk to a group of North American Jews, what do you see are ways that we can support you, support the family, support the Jews in Israel?
But my first message to you, you may not like it, is come home. Okay? Come home. This is the place for all of you. And even if you don't have it in mind for right now, start thinking in that direction, because this is where you belong. And every time that somebody comes and visits any of the people in the hotel or any people in the street, and they hear that someone is thinking about Aliyah, nobody says to you, "Why would you want to do that?" They all say, "Cain, Cain, Cain. This is the place for Am Yisrael." So that's the first thing. Put it on your agenda. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but it should be on your agenda. That encourages the people who are here to know that we're all together, brothers in arms. The second thing which is obvious, and I know that everyone is doing it, is obviously adding to your tefillot, etc. And third is, if you can find a way to support a project, anything, even something small. My wife had started a project where she gives out these small packages to the wives of miluimnikim, people who are serving in reserves. Because after all, how many meals can you prepare for a family? How many coloring books can you give to the kids? So she started this project, and the project grew. We funded it ourselves for the first 100, and other people joined in, and we've now distributed over 1,500 packages to people. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of projects like this that people can get involved in for dollars and cents. It's not, you don't have to donate thousands of dollars. You can just be a part of something, sponsoring something. There are many organizations. I'll be happy to send you, Rabbi Brander, a number of the links to some of the organizations that 100% of money donated that is earmarked for projects goes for the projects. There's no administrative costs, no nothing. It's just they funnel the money in according to the project, so you can get involved that way. And lastly, write to your Congress people and your senators and your local municipalities, and yes, even the administration, and tell them the truth. Tell them to stop saying things and parroting the lines that they hear on the media and things like that are besmirching the names, the fine reputation of our chayalim, our soldiers that are working to protect Am Yisrael, not just in Eretz Yisrael, but all over the world.
Thank you, Yaakov. Thank you so much for your service to Klal Yisrael, as you started so beautifully the Avodas HaKodesh, the holy work, the sacred work that you're involved in, and for giving us a little picture of what that is. you should continue to do this incredible work. And we should come together, see you in the hotel under better times. B'sorot tovot.
Amen.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
Bye now.